But the point is that we're trying to help students graduate with as little or no debt. Little debt as possible or none.
Hello, this is Marco Rock. Welcome to Marco Rock TV. I am your host, Marco Rock, for Inside a Growing Mind, where we interview leaders, entrepreneurs, game changers, share their minds to inspire and inform you. Today, I'm so honored to have the Dean of College Business, Dr. Louis Pol. Dr. Louis, how are you?
I'm well today, Marco. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
We're looking forward to our conversation.
Awesome. So tell us, who is Dr. Louis Pol?
I'm the Dean of the College of Business.
Okay.
I have been the Dean since 2004. And I have one of those very exciting jobs. So imagine a person that has virtually 21,000 children, because that's how many alumni of our college, faculty, current students, and others that are affiliated with the college that we have. So every day I get to live vicariously through their lives, which means every day I find out something good about someone who's connected with us in some way. And that's pretty exciting.
So there's always something inspiring. So there's like a good news every day.
Absolutely, every day.
Moving.
And it's usually more than once a day. And it can be a story that I hear about or read about in the newspaper, or somebody comes in and tells me, or I get a telephone call. There are lots of ways that I find out about these stories, and they're all very good.
Yeah. So can you tell me what's a recent story that has inspired you from your alumni or current student? Something like that.
Well, 2 days ago, I was at Union Pacific Railroad, and I was going to meet with two of our alums. These are alums who graduated at different times. So one of them finished several years ago, and one of them finished just 2 years ago. And just to sit there and eat lunch and hear about this young man, so this is the younger of the two alumni, just sitting there and hearing about what he's doing, what he was doing when he first went there, because he's changed departments recently. He's trying to get a broader range of experience and that sort of thing. That is just exciting to hear that. And while I was standing in the hallway waiting for him to come down from his office, I ran into three other alums who I hadn't expected to meet, and they shared a little bit of their stories with me.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that happens all the time.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So what makes you a unique leader as the head of your department?
I have a different background in the sense that I don't have a business degree. I am a demographer, so I've studied population all of my professional life. And I used to be a tenured faculty member in a sociology department at what was then known as Memphis State University, now the University of Memphis. And while I was there, I was engaged in a lot of very interesting research for me, and I thought it was somewhat important, at least, and I had very good students. But in 1984, I defected, and I defected to a business school, and I came here. And I had no interest or even thought that I would eventually become an administrator.
So you were a professor that time?
Yes, I was a professor. I came here as a professor in the marketing department. I taught marketing research, statistics, consumer behavior. And then there were a series of unexpected events, and I ended up becoming the Dean of the College of Business. But what that unique background gives me is a different perspective on the world and how we might best lead the college, and how together, because it's really this is a team sport, how all of the college's faculty, staff, and students can work together to make us a great place. So that's
That's really amazing.
That's what's different.
Yeah. So, are any of your creative interests, such as healthcare policy, demographic application that you mentioned earlier, research methodology, and statistics, have helped you in your role?
Well, statistics in particular. I've been looking at numbers for a long time, and
So you love numbers.
I love numbers, but the important thing is not the numbers themselves. It's how we look at them at different angles, use different techniques, lenses, pictures, different ways of trying to tease out information from these numbers. So what is it that we can learn when we look at enrollment trends and we look at a change in the composition of the students that we have or the faculty and staff? Because over the years, we've gone from having an older faculty to a younger faculty to an older faculty again. What does that mean as we go forward? What does that mean for transition and those kinds of things? And if you look at the transition that's happened in the student body, it's amazing. When I came here in 1984, the average age of a student was 26 to 27 years old. Okay. It's 22 to 23 now. We have a lot of students living on campus. No students lived on campus in 1984.
Not at all.
So no students. So what we have in terms of those numbers tell us quite a bit about who we are.
So how do you prepare a student to be competitive in the marketplace, as well as have like a sense of social responsibility?
Well, we do that several ways. One, we take advantage of this great business community. So there's a lot of learning that occurs in the classroom, but it's limited. It's 3 hours a week or less. Okay. And what we want our students to understand is that learning is a 24-hour business. It's a 7-day-a-week business. It's an everyday business. And we learn in lots of different ways. But with our business community, we have an opportunity to give them a chance to learn outside the classroom. So it might be an internship. It might be a guest speaker. It might be a chance to be mentored by someone. It might be a chance to go to a business visit. All of these options are available to us, and we try to integrate them as we're trying to teach students not only the theory of what's taking place, but also the practical application. That's what's really, really important here. But I think all wrapped up in that is a sense of social responsibility. At the end of all of this, our students are going to end up serving on nonprofit boards. Okay. They're going to be they might go to work for a nonprofit board. One of my favorite people in this community is Peg Harriott. She has an undergraduate degree in social work. She has a master's in business administration, and she's the president and CEO of a nonprofit organization. That's a great combination. And I think that's an example of how our students end up being connected to our community with a sense of purpose. We don't want them involved just to check off a box or to list or to provide another line on a resume.
That's a degree.
We want them to be dedicated. We want them to have the energy. And so they have to find an organization or organizations that they really care about, and they can pour themselves into that. And our community is made better by that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So with the cost of higher education keeping climbing, how do you motivate students or people who are willing to go back to school to see value in higher education, or how they can avoid too much college debt?
Yep. Well, there are a couple of questions in there. The first thing is that it's very important for people to realize that while there are many critics of university education right now, that getting a degree is much better than not getting a degree. And so we like to talk about the opportunities that are created when you have a university education. So I like to get young people, these are people in high school and middle school, to not just think about a specific degree, but think about the degrees of freedom, the freedom that's created when you have an additional degree, you have other education, you have other skills and knowledge, And that gives you options. It gives you options in your work life, in your social life. It gives you options for the rest of your life. No one can take that degree and that knowledge away from you. And that's extremely important. But we have to be concerned about the cost of higher education. So we're lucky in Nebraska in the sense that education is relatively inexpensive. And at UNO, there are a lot of students who don't have any debt when they graduate. 40% of our students, roughly, don't have any debt upon graduation. The average amount of debt is about $13,000. For those that have debt, because that averages in those without debt, the average of those who have debt is around $25,000. So we don't have an institution that has students that have $100,000 or $200,000 in debt. Those are students who went to private institutions. So we don't have that level of debt, but any amount of debt can be burdensome, and so we want to minimize that. And so we do it two ways. One, for the last 3 years now, we've been offering a financial literacy program. And in that program, and this is non-credit, a student can just go to these sessions that are offered. And in those sessions, debt and managing debt is one of the topics. So a lot of students don't really know how to manage their debt, and a lot of them are putting their education on a credit card. And while that might make sense in the immediate, it doesn't make sense in the long term. So we can educate students that way. The second thing that we've been doing, we're very, very, very cognizant of this cost. So we have been raising money for scholarships. Okay. And in 2000, by the time we get to the fall of 2018, the College of Business will have available to its students about $850,000 in scholarships. That's beyond the university scholarships. That's beyond Regents. So that's different than, it's just for the business, just for the College of Business. And our goal isn't to stop there. Our goal is to get to $1 million and past $1 million, and we're going to raise as much money as we can to provide worthy students, people who are really working hard, and in some cases have financial needs, some don't have so much financial need. But the point is that we're trying to help students graduate with as little or no debt. Little debt as possible or none. I mean that.
So what are the requirements for that new scholarship for people to get it? What are the things that you will have in place when it become available?
Well, our deadline is normally around February the 1st, before the following academic year, which is kind of hard for freshmen coming in because unless they're really looking at us very carefully, they might miss that deadline, and I worry about that. So we try to talk about it all the time, but a lot of them miss it. But there's an application. Okay. There's a statement of what you intend to be, who you are. There are letters of recommendation, and then there's a committee. And the committee makes its decisions on the basis of merit. So the applications come to the committee members read the applications, and then decisions are made. And it's a great process because we have enough money to give away to make a difference. And I'm around people, alums who've had scholarships, and to listen to them talk about what those scholarships enable them to do. So it's not just I graduated with less debt or I graduated without debt. No, it enabled me to take an extra course or to take on another concentration or to get a minor in some area outside of the College of Business. Or in some cases, it enabled them to go to participate in an international experience. So we have students going to India and China and Northern Europe and other places. This year we sent some students to Vietnam. It was a wonderful project. These are lifetime changers. This changes the way that you think forever. And so we want students to have those kinds of experiences, and that's what scholarships allow them to do.
So for students, what are the tips that you have for them to be able to be successful, for instance, in the College of Business?
Well, everybody talks about working hard. And hard work is important, but smart work is better. So we need to be more mindful of how we use our time. And our students, we're very lucky, at least from an administrator, from a faculty perspective. Our students work hard. They have jobs, they go to school, some of them are working 40 hours a week and going to school full time. That's hard to do.
Yes.
That means their time management skills are pretty good. But, you know, time management skills can always be better. And we are always making decisions about doing one thing versus another thing. So I want them to be better in managing their skills and having the kinds of priorities that will lead them in the right direction, that will have them prepared for a class and an examination. But more importantly, perhaps, is keeping that knowledge in them. So in other words, if we have a course, say, in accounting, and a marketing student is taking that course, the marketing student might be inclined to say, hey, you know, it's accounting. I don't need to know anything about accounting. That's not true. Every business discipline is integrated with the other business disciplines. And I argue all of the time that you can't be good in any of the business disciplines without knowing well the other ones. So if you're a marketing major, you need to know accounting. You need to know statistics and economics and finance, all of those kinds of things. So I think that's a good piece of advice. And then to take advantage of the outside of the classroom opportunities for learning that we have. Take an internship. 70% of the students who have internships in the College of Business are offered full-time jobs in those internships. Now, some of them don't take them because they have multiple internships, but the important thing is that there's a connection between having an internship and getting a job that you want, a job that's in your field, that you care about, that you want to have a career in, and those kinds of things. That's one thing. Go and listen to these very smart people who come into our building all of the time and are part of our clubs, part of a classroom, are here to lecture, are here to interact with students, are here to extend the learning process. And these people are going to be part of your professional network going forward. So you should start now, not later, in doing that. So I think that's important. And then I also think it's very important for students to choose a major that they really care about, that they're really committed to. A lot of students, I'm one of those students, I mean, I changed my major. I changed my major more than once. My undergraduate degree is in sociology, but earlier on I wanted to be a chemistry major and a French minor because I wanted to work internationally.
So you speak French now?
Not much anymore.
Not much anymore.
Yes.
I was going to challenge you,
Yes.
right?
But that's what I wanted to do, and then I took some other courses, and I took a course in sociology, and I liked that. So that's how I went in that direction. But the point is that students are going to get a lot of pressure from parents and friends and brothers and sisters and others to major in something. And I think the most important thing is to major in something that you care about. And if it's not a business discipline, that's okay. Go where your passion lies. Don't go where somebody else wants you to go. Yeah.
What make your College of Business unique among all the College of Business in the Midwest?
Okay. Well, I think one, and it's hard to say unique among all the colleges of business because we all look alike in some ways.
Okay.
But I think our competitive advantages, the things that make us perhaps a little bit different than some others, and make us better. One I've alluded to, I've talked a little bit about the business community that we have here. So our Omaha is our classroom.
Oh,
All of Omaha is our classroom.
that's interesting.
Every bit of Omaha. You look down the street, what do you see? Construction of HDR. Well, guess what? There are alums of our college who work for HDR, and there'll be alums in the future who will work for HDR, and there'll be projects that we do with them, and students from them to come get graduate degrees. Blue Cross and Blue Shield is down the street. Same kind of relationship. You go downtown, Union Pacific, First National Bank, large companies, small companies, they are part of our campus, of our university. And so I think we've done a pretty good job of integrating them into the educational process. But we have to continue to work on that because we can be better. So I think we do that pretty well. More recently, in the last 10 years, we have worked hard, on becoming a business school that is known for its work at the intersection of business and healthcare. So about 10 years ago, we started looking at programs where we might partner with the University of Nebraska Medical Center. Because we knew that health professionals, while having great medical skills or nursing skills or other kinds of health-related skills, also were working in a business environment. Many of them would become leaders within UNMC and beyond UNMC, and we thought that it made sense to provide educational opportunities for those students who were interested in them. So we began creating joint graduate programs, pairing our MBA with programs that they have at UNMC. So for example, we have a joint program where a person can get a master's in public health and a master's in business administration. And so we've been working on the academic side. Then we created a graduate business certificate for PhD students in the biosciences and those kinds of things. But more recently, we've sort of began to add to that collection of activities, and now we've always had some joint research with different groups of people at UNMC. But now that research is expanding to others. It involves more of our faculty, more of their faculty. And over time, I believe that we'll become a business school that's very well known, not only regionally, but nationally and internationally, for the work that's done, again, at the intersection of business and healthcare. And we're really excited about that. And having a new chancellor, who happens to be the chancellor of UNMC, really gives us an advantage. I mean, it really does, because we've moved our partnerships along a little bit faster. In fact, I just sent a note to two of my colleagues at UNMC about another joint program that we're working on, and we're really excited about those possibilities. And our faculty seem to be too. Yeah, yeah.
So let's focus the last question on you.
Yeah.
What inspired you?
Oh, my grandfather and both of my grandfathers. One of them took a chance. Well, his family took a chance. So it's not yet 100 years that my grandfather and his family came to the United States. So on November the 11th, 1920, they boarded a ship in Cherbourg, France, and on November the 21st, they arrived at Ellis Island. And from there, they went to a small town in Indiana, and my grandfather became a coal miner. And when my grandfather's family made that decision to come to this country, they gave me an opportunity.
That's true.
They didn't know that, but they did.
They did, yeah.
And so, in a sense, I owe something to them. I owe them Well, first, I owe them a debt of gratitude. I mean, wow, that's, I know they were poor in France, and they eventually not poor here. So they were running from something, but they were also running to something. And so I never forget that. And so that drives me. But it's not just about that story and how it relates to me. I was given a gift, and I think it's my job to not just pay that back, but pay it forward. And I know that term gets used way too much, but for me it's very specific, it's very meaningful. That my immigrant grandfather, and on the other side of my family, my immigrant great-grandfather, they gave us all of my sisters, my cousins, all of my family members opportunities. And wouldn't it be a shame if we didn't take advantage of those opportunities? And wouldn't it be a shame if we didn't figure out ways to give other people opportunities? And so scholarships, developing these relationships, giving our students opportunities. And the thing that's so great about our university, or one of the things that's so great, is that we still have a very large portion of our students who are first in their families to go to college, over 40%. And when you see those students walk across the stage like I did last Friday, and you shake their hands, and you see that twinkle in their eyes, and you know that their lives, professional lives, are just starting, if you don't get energized by that, you should you should check into the cemetery right now.
Yeah. If you had the power to make one positive change in the world, what would that be?
Oh, well, it's only indirectly related to business, but I mean, the disparity in income and life chances across the world is sad. You know, we like to think of ourselves as human beings that are advanced. So I mean, we look back in history and think about, well, we don't live in caves anymore, and we don't we don't grovel in the ground every day just to find food, except that people still do. And people in lots of other parts of the world, and even in our own country, go to bed hungry every night, and that's sad. And business and government and good-meaning people need to work on that every day of their lives. So it's while we get all excited about having our students graduate and the new opportunities that are available to them, and I'll never not be excited about that. In the general scheme of things, it's much less important, because these much bigger issues loom, and they were with us on the day that I was born, and they'll be with us on the day that I die, and all of us. But all of us, we cannot just go off to the sideline and say, well, there's nothing that I can do about this, there's not a way to contribute, because that's not right. We can, and we contribute in our own ways, so that we get involved in local organizations or international organizations, and we work with other people to make more opportunities available to those persons.
What would be your last advice to my viewers?
Enjoy your life. I heard the best graduation speech I heard ever, I've heard, I should say, I have, because I'll hear some more, was at the graduation of my nephew from the University of Colorado. This guy was good, and his message was very clear. He said, you know, our lives as busy human beings, busy professionals, 9 to 5 and a lot more, 50 and 60 and 80 and 100-hour work weeks, those kinds of things. Those are developments that are very recent in human existence. And people from just a few hundred years ago, let alone a few thousand years ago, didn't live that way. And if you go back far enough, we didn't even come close to living that way. And his point was that the graduates were going to go off and be professionals, and some were going to be very successful. But he didn't want people to lose sight of the fact that our human history is one of interaction. It's one of storytelling. It's one of spending time with our families and our friends and being social beings. And that's who we are. And I would say to students and anyone else who wants to listen that that's a good lesson. That at the end of the day, when we get home or we get to the place where we're stopping for that particular day, we probably should put down our iPads and our phones and whatever else and talk to who's ever there and talk more to the people who are around us, and not just about the day-to-day issues that we're faced with, not with the business problems and opportunities that we have, but just about our lives and about the fact that we're human beings. All of us are human beings, and these interactions are really important to us. So yeah, that's my story.
Dr. Louis, thank you so much for being on the show.
Mark, good to meet you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you so much for watching this wonderful interview with Dr. Louis Pol, Dean of College Business at University of Nebraska, Omaha. I hope you love it. If you're new to the show, go to marcolorock.tv and subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye.